Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are out there. It's time for another episode of the SoundTraxx Soundbites podcast. This is Train Talk from Milepost 141, coming to you from beautiful Durango, Colorado. We got some beautiful fall weather hitting us right now.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Aspen trees are turning.
Yeah, it's the beautiful time. All the leafers are heading out this way to visit and take a look at the mountains. But just outside the building, I noticed you haven't been here yet, but the mountainside that's visible out the front of our building there turns like this fire color red and oranges. It's really kind of cool looking.
Probably have people stop and take pictures of something like that too.
All the time.
Yep.
And a lot of people will be coming to town in September. Well, September's over already, and October to take pictures of the fall colors. So good time to be around in town.
Yeah, I had a couple of calls today and one yesterday. Folks are coming in, wanting to come by and look at the building. I said, sure, just give us a call. And so they're asking about that already. So they said they're going to be in town just for exactly what you said.
Yep. So we do tours about on average at 4:30 every day. If by appointment, of course. So we don't just show up at 4:30. Call us, let us know. We've got a lot of stuff that's going on, so we want to know you're here. Can't always drop everything to show you around, but we're proud of what we do. So
yes,
we do want to show you around.
We have had some people show up like that, and we've accommodated them, but we prefer you call us first and set it up.
Yeah, and it depends on what it is, because like last weekend, for example, I was away from a show, and you were basically here by yourself on Friday, and that's not a good time to do a Clint tour.
Had a guy show up, and it's not like, hi.
So... But anyway, so that's that. It's a beautiful time. The temperature's great outside. Enjoy it while we can, because it's about to get freaking cold out there. The one thing I will say about winters here, and you haven't experienced them yet being new to the area, is the one thing I noticed anyway is that it tends to be a dry cold.
Right.
So it doesn't feel as miserable as like it might be in Illinois or anything like that, because we're at high elevations. We may get dumped on snow, but the next day, sun comes out. I'll tell you what, I'll be out there shoveling snow in a T-shirt.
That's what I've heard, and I heard from last night, or the policeman in Cortez I was talking to, and he said the same thing. He said it might snow. He said, and you'll be out there the next day. I don't know about shorts and a T-shirt, but he said a T-shirt for sure.
Yeah, I didn't say shorts.
He did.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, bud.
Okay.
Whatever you say.
Well, the funny thing is, I always notice this, that a lot of people in Colorado are shorts all the time. Like I was playing hockey last night, and our skate time was from 9 to 10:30. And after we were done, I noticed there were about 3 of our guys outside when we were afterward talking and hanging out, wearing shorts.
Yep.
And it's just like, yeah, all right. That point is 50 degrees outside.
Yeah, or like I've seen them, like you said already, with in 39 or 41 degrees in the morning, and they're out in shorts already. And the guys are out, of course, jogging, of course, yes. But,
sure.
But just like you're saying, lounging around, walking around, picking up the newspaper.
Yep.
Sitting outside, drinking their coffee in their shorts.
Yep. So it's a beautiful time to be here, and this is where you appreciate it. This in the real summertime, because even this summer we didn't really get that hot.
No, wonderful.
We had some 90-degree temperatures or something like that. But for the most part, we had a very mild summer.
Without the humidity, it really makes a difference. Coming from Illinois and the Midwest, I mean, they got 100% humidity and 100 degrees. And I'm out here, I'm like, it's 90 degrees here, or 94 in Cortez or in Durango, but you can't tell. Yeah. It's really nice.
It's beautiful. So anyway, so with fall hitting, that means that it's time to get back to model railroading. The running around, chasing trains, doing stuff like that. It's time to get back to model railroading. So we got some cool stuff to talk about today. And let's start with projects. I know we've got some drastically different stuff here on the table, but let's go ahead and start with your project first. You got some sort of an undecorated switcher.
This is a Walthers Proto NW2, and I want to shout out to Bob Tuznik and the guys at Walthers for making an outstanding model and listening to modelers like myself and George all along. We've asked for this, what we call the Super Undeck, which basically what this is. This thing has, if you guys haven't got it, grab them while you can. It has all the hoods for all the variations of the NW2.
Oh, wow.
Included in the box, so you get a different hood. And I've got the hood on here for what I'm going to do. This is going to be Zeigler Coal NW2 down in Southern Illinois. It was a mine switcher, and they later moved it to the Cora, Illinois coal transfer station on the Mississippi River, off of the Mopax River sub down there, Chester sub. So that's where I think it's still sitting there today. But it'll say Zeigler Coal on it, and hopefully I'll send George a picture. You can see what it's going to look like. It'll be white. I've already got the decals made for it, but this one will get Blunami, and it's going to get an 1100 in it. It says on the box it has a 21 pin, but it looks like a Next 18.
Yeah, that's a Next 18.
Yeah, but they'll take this out, and we'll put a Blunami 1100 hardwired job in this, and that way it'll have Blunami in it. But it'll basically be a custom engine for the Zeigler 4 coal mine on my layout.
Nice.
And like I said, it's just they're just a great model. It's got the tread plate on there. It's heavy.
Yeah.
It'll move some cars, but basic paint job. I think, is it called Aspen Gold, the Rio Grande color?
Yeah.
That's what the only thing.
Grand Gold, and there's Grand Gold, and I think there's Aspen Gold, and there's slightly different versions of the yellow.
I think it has the Aspen Gold, but that's the only thing. It'll have white, and then the white here, black trucks. But on the Pilot, it'll be the black and white striping, like the Rio Grande on the Pilot on both the front and rear.
Now, for those of you guys who are looking at the video version of this, you will have seen the insert of Tom's picture. But if you're not on video, then what was the name of it? You said Zeigler Coal?
Zeigler Coal NW2, and you can go to my website if you want to and look at it. It's joppasub.com, joppasub.com, and I have the pictures on there. You go to the photo gallery, you'll see the old NW2 sitting there.
Okay. And then the other thing, I'm going to do a quick little shameless plug. Now, that model is very similar to their SW1200s, too. Yes. And I had two of the undecorated versions, and I did a conversion showing you step-by-step how to convert that to an 1100 Tsunami 2.
Yep.
That was prior to when we had the Next 18.
Right.
And so there's a video out there to show you step-by-step how to do the installation. And so you have the easy job. I already did the hard work for you. I showed you how to do it.
I talked George out of one of those undecks, so I've got one. And it's going to be another project, but it'll have the Blunami in it as well. Yep. George has already hardwired it. It'll be the one off the video. So the only thing that'll be different about it, it'll have Mopac blue, which that's not really different, but
yeah, I was going to say
the class lights on it. It'll have the class lights on the front of it. We're talking about the SW1200 and the extended range fuel tank. If Walthers will send me that part, that'd be great.
It was in the box.
It's missing one little piece, but
the
first run, all of them had that fuel tank. They were missing that little piece.
Okay.
It's not. It's
not
a George thing. It's
okay.
Yeah, there's a little bitty piece that fits. It's the back plate to it, and the air tank fits on over it, but it's missing one. It has two.
Okay.
And all the first run of that 1200, Al did that. So
interesting.
Not a big deal.
Okay. Well, that's going to look good once you get done with it. So real excited about that.
Yep. Waiting on the 1100s for it, and they'll start on it.
Hopefully they'll be in production very soon, as of the time of this recording. So looking forward to that.
What do you got there, George?
So this isn't a new project. This is something that I've had. I managed to get a hold of this. It's a precision scale On30 C-19 RGS 41, and when I was given this model, I shouldn't use the term given. When I acquired the model, I'll use that word.
Right.
It basically had a 12-volt bulb for a headlight, and it had an air wire system in the tender and an original Tsunami in the boiler. And the guy that I got this from had an XS one, so I managed to get it off of him for a very, very reasonable price. And anyway, so when I got it, of course, we had Blunami 2200s, and so I was like, well, I'm going to upgrade it. So I did. Mm-hmm. And but what was interesting was this is onboard battery, and that's going to allude into our conversation a little bit later.
Right.
But so the battery and the air wire electronics live in the tender, and then the Blunami actually lives inside the boiler. And when I did this, I upgraded the headlight and everything to LEDs, and I also installed a cab light inside here. There's a firebox light under here, and a neat little secret here. Now, this is all battery control. As you can see, it's not actually on. Mm-hmm. the original installer was one of our retailers, Old Iron Designs out in New Jersey, Jeff Ringley. And he puts a little reed switch back here to turn it on and off. And then inside the water tank is our access to our charging port. Now, because the air wire was there and in place and working, why mess with it?
Right.
So I left that alone. I literally didn't touch that at all.
Right.
There's 2 wires that run from the tender to the locomotive, and that's your track power going there. There's no backup light here. So the track, or the quote-unquote DCC power, comes through to the locomotive, and the decoder's actually in the boiler, and I've got 2 cube speakers up front. But the on-off switch is actually a reed switch. So when I run this over here, of course not. There it goes. So now we're powered up. Now I'm going to turn on my phone went to sleep. So we're going to go ahead and connect. And I'm going to screen record this. So for those of you guys watching in audio, you'll be able to see the screen that I've got. But anyway, here's my RGS 41. I'm going to go to standard in this case. And this is where, now you can see there's no track.
Right.
So you can definitely tell it is a battery powered one, but I've got my headlight on.
Yeah, that's great.
But this is one of the things that I was actually pretty happy with, and I'm going to go ahead and mute it for a moment, just because that way we're not competing with the sound. Because those 2 speakers actually make quite a bit of noise.
They sound awesome.
But those of you guys watching in video have already seen the screenshot on here. You can see that in this model, this was the first one I did that has the white class lights on the front, up here on the nose. And I had to, because with O-scale, I've got a whole lot more room to do things. So now when I extinguish the white class lights and turn on the green class lights, now I can run a scheduled train with a following section. So the green class lights indicate that the train is the scheduled train, but there's a following section coming about 15 minutes behind. And so these class lights were very important for the railroading, especially in the steam era, because it was a matter of life and death. So if you didn't see the green and you just said, oh, there's my train, and you started going, you were about to meet somebody at 15 minutes or less as you're heading towards them. So these class lights were extremely important. And so with O-scale, I decided, you know what, I need to be able to do that. And so what I did was I actually took a green LED and a white LED and glued them back to back and stuck them up in there and ran the wires down and into the boiler and then connected them to the decoder.
I'll be darned. It looks fantastic.
So,
and the brightness is just right on the money as usual.
Yeah. Well, brightness is a big thing, and that's one of the things you can adjust with our both Tsunami 2 and Blunamis, is you can adjust the brilliances of each thing. But, you know, we're sitting here
61 and 62, I think. Right?
61 and 62 are the brilliance adjustments. Those are CV numbers for the adjustments for on-off brilliance 1 and on-off brilliance 2, respectively. Or in the Blunami app, you just go in and select on-off brilliance 1, and then you go to the brightness registers and just move the slider bar until you like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier and cleaner.
But this was one of the fun ones. So it also has a cab light on here. And then I actually have a firebox light, which isn't immediately visible here. I'm showing you a screenshot for those of you on video. But it's an orange LED that's actually down in the firebox. It's hard to see, but in the dark, it's brilliant, which is exactly what you want. But one of the things we can do with our decoders, we can turn on or off lights based on direction and motion. And so what I did in this case, and we've done a YouTube video on this as well, where we took the firebox light and turned it on when you're in forward moving, reverse moving, stopped and forward, stopped and reverse, and on the E-stop. So if I throw an emergency stop out there, firebox light doesn't extinguish, it stays on.
Right.
Because the firebox would. Okay. If he throws it into emergency, then he doesn't necessarily drop the fire. That's a whole nother set of problems, and hopefully he'll never have to deal with it.
Right.
But that is something that we do have in there. So this is one of the cool things, and I'm actually really happy with the way this has turned out.
It's beautiful.
When I got it, he gave me the air wire throttle, and I don't know that I even tested it then. I literally set it down, took it to the workbench, took it apart, put the Blunami in it, put it together. And while the air wire stuff still resides in the tender, I've never used it.
Right.
So the cool thing is that now I have that ability if I, for whatever reason, want to use the air wire throttle.
Right.
But as you know, and most of the viewers know, or listeners, I don't use the DCC throttles as much anymore.
No.
I think I use them more when I'm working than when I'm at home.
Yes.
Because the Blunami frees us up and really makes it fun. Because as you can see here in the screenshot, you can see that all the functions are labeled. I don't need to remember function 4 does this, function 10 does this,
right.
Function 22 does this, and then remember how do I access it. And so you'll see I have a lot of consistency. So when I go to 15 to 28, my function 19 is the mute, and that's the same as on every other locomotive I've got. And then so we can actually, I left it on here because the 41 was used in a myriad of different purposes, but you never know. Well, I left the all aboard on there because
in case it's running
you never
extra
know.
passenger train. Or
Right, in case it's running a passenger train, it at least gives me the opportunity to have that as a option to be able to call out all aboard, even though I don't really use it and probably wouldn't, but
right.
But anyway, this is one of the fun things. But I brought this one here because I've done a video on this before. You can go back in our YouTube videos and you can search Blunami battery on board. And I've showed off this model because when I got this model, I immediately jumped on it. Now, the sad part is I don't really have anywhere to run it in town.
No,
There's nobody really modeling ON3 here in Durango, which is surprising. Although the biggest ON3 modeler passed away several years back, Fred Folk. You never met him.
No, I didn't meet him,
But he had a gorgeous layout, big ON3 layout, and I would have loved to have been able to go over there. So one of these times when I travel and I know there's an ON3 layout with an op session, I'm going to bring it with me. Or I should say, I'm going to threaten to bring it with me, and I'm going to take it and run it. But who knows? Someday I may set up a small little ON3 switching layout.
I can see why people would want to do it. I mean, the detail is incredible. The paint, of course, is just awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it just looks like an engine that's worked hard.
Yep.
But the sound is just brings the whole enchilada together.
Oh, yeah. And Jeff Ringley actually did all the weathering and everything.
It's spot on.
My friend that I got it from had actually inherited it from one of his friends who had Jeff do the work. And then when he got it, he had already had a 41, so he offered it to me, and I wasn't going to pass up on it.
Heck no.
But, and you know, it's on this particular one, on this side, you can see all the detail on the air compressors. You can hear the dual air compressors going off while we're listening.
I mean, I'm looking at just the rope to the bell. It's the sound is out of this world too.
And so you can kind of hear that backwards clapping of the bell when it's ringing, because that's one of the things with the different ring rates. You can have that clapper hit, so you get kind of an irregular pattern.
Yeah, because you got somebody pulling the rope.
Right. So, but this kind of leads us into a discussion about battery.
Right.
Now, one of the things over the years I've learned, especially, and you've actually been playing with it yourself a little bit, is the notion of going dead rail.
Right.
And a lot of people, the reality is that wiring a layout is not necessarily an easy task.
No.
It's a daunting challenge, and it means that you have to do a lot of work to get your model working just the way you want it, or the track. Let me rephrase that. You have to do a lot of work to get the track running and all powered, where the model or the decoders wouldn't have those interruptions. And inevitably what happens is you always have to keep the track clean, you have to keep your wheels clean, all of that, and those are all factors that lead into this discussion for dead rail.
Right.
There's a couple of folks that focus primarily on dead rail installations. Jeff Ringley, for example, at Old Iron Designs is one of them, with the air wire systems and so forth. And there was another guy down in Southern California. Unfortunately, I've heard he's having some health issues. Pete Steinmetz of Dead Rail Installs.
Right.
You know, he was always on that doing the dead rail, being ready to go. And so everybody's always wanting to do that, but you had to take, our decoders work on DCC, or at least the Tsunami 2, Econami, and other brand decoders out there work on DCC.
Right.
And if you don't have DCC, then you're stuck either with variable voltage, which limits how much you can do.
Right.
But for wireless Deadrail on board, you still had to have some sort of third-party control, because we can't wish or will the locomotive to move,
right,
and to create a DCC signal. And so you always had to have the third party, and this is a key example here because you have the air wire stuff in the tender. And so this is actually set up to receive essentially a DCC command from their wireless throttle that talks to this, and then this would then talk to the decoder.
Right.
So it became expensive, it became cumbersome, and then trying to find room for all those electronics and all these models that would have an option for a battery.
Right.
But with Blunami now, we've taken all that third party. Oops.
Yeah.
Let me be more gentle with it.
Yeah.
You'd think I didn't care about it.
That's the battery's in there too.
The battery's in here too. So
Yeah.
I've got the battery, the air wire stuff, and then the decoder, as I mentioned, and the speaker up in the locomotive. But so fitting something like this in an ON3 engine, okay, that's plausible. That's very doable.
Yeah.
Putting a battery in something like this becomes a whole nother challenge.
Yeah.
And, especially when you start talking about some of these models that have a lot of space for weight, chassis, and things like that,
Yeah.
it suddenly becomes kind of, for lack of a better term, unattainable.
It is.
Unobtainium, because you don't have much space inside.
Maybe in the cab. But
Yeah.
it depends on then you're talking about battery size development and that kind of stuff too.
Correct.
So.
Now we're always seeing better advances in battery technology. I mean, you can imagine a new cell phone like this has a battery in it, but and we can get a lot out of there. But one of the biggest X factors when it comes to battery control is the motor power consumption.
Right.
And that's going to be your biggest governing factor, just like it is with stall current, because that's your biggest hog of power.
Right.
LEDs take up nothing. The processor itself just sips current. It doesn't gulp it down. The motor gulps it. It's like, yep, I need to go.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about like what our decoders, like most of the function pads or function outfits, like 100 milliamps at the most. The bigger decoders is 400, I think, like the big scale.
Yeah.
But the small, like these, 100
milliamps for the outputs.
Yeah, so not pulling hardly anything.
So not drawing at hardly anything at all. So when you look at battery control, the motor's your biggest factor. So you want to kind of get a feel for what that is, and that'll help govern the size of the battery.
Right.
When you look at the batteries, you're looking at milliamp hours. And this is going to say this is how much power the battery can supply. So if you get we'll say a 1,000 milliamp hour battery, that battery can supply 1 amp for up to an hour.
Right.
Fully charged. Of course, as it discharges, it changes up a little bit. And so in that particular case, if you're not running the constant and your motor doesn't draw 1 amp constantly, then you probably get a couple hours out of that battery.
Yep.
And so when you start looking at your batteries, especially for larger scales, that's where you see people were using like 6,000 or 8,000 milliamp hours, because that'll give them 6 or 8 amps for up to an hour, which means most of those models, if they're stalling at 4 amps or less, can easily get 3 to 4 hours operating time.
Yeah, which is more than enough.
Yep. Now this one here, this is a 3-cell 11.1 volt battery. As I mentioned, the tender hatch has the charging port. I don't know what the milliamp hours are on this particular one, but it's a lithium ion battery.
Right.
Or I should say batteries. It's 3 of them running in series in a battery pack that he made. But I've taken this to trade shows. I've taken it to the narrow gauge convention. I've taken it to the O-scale convention that I've done, and running it back and forth. Now, one of the things I do want to point out, for those of you watching on video, this model's sitting on a bare table. That's because some dummy forgot to bring his piece of track to run it.
It'll still run though.
It still runs.
It'll run. You can run it across the
It still runs, which is the craziest
so cool.
thing.
Yeah.
And so we'll hear a lot of people that'll freak them out.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's running? There's no track.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I take it to shows, I just have a little 3-foot piece of track that I mounted onto a piece of wood, and I'll put that on the table and just run it back and forth on that piece of track, just because obviously it's going to draw a whole lot less current on the rail than it is on this tablecloth.
Right, exactly.
But anyway, the point being is that I've taken this around, and usually I get about a day and a half of operation, but most of the time it's literally sitting on the table just idling. So most of the time, which, you know, when I'm at the shows, it's just sitting here doing this. So I figure if I'm getting 8+ hours just sitting here like this, I probably get a good 2 to 3, maybe 4 hours operating time.
Absolutely.
Which is more than enough.
Oh, yeah.
Because the real world, I'd have to stop and fill up or, you know, something along those lines.
Yeah, and then, you know, us old people, I mean, we need a break. You know, 3 hours is more than enough on your feet running trains, trust me.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of ways that, and Blunami has really made it a whole lot more affordable, because prior you had to buy the throttle, then you had to buy the receiver, then you still had to buy the battery, the charger, and a decoder. But that battery or that throttle and the receiver can easily add up, you know, $300, $400, $500 depending on, because wireless throttles aren't cheap. I mean, you can get like an NCE wireless throttle. I think it's like $200 or $300.
Yeah.
And then now think of that plus the receiver, which is another $70 to $100, in addition to the price of the decoder and the speaker and the batteries and all that, in order to make this to work prior to the Blunami. Now with Blunami, you literally just need battery, decoder, speaker, done.
Yep, because the app's free. You already got your phone. There's your command system right there.
Yep, exactly. And so now we can go with battery, and here's the best part. And Tom, you know this because you've come over and run trains, but basically everybody with one of these things, wireless throttles in their pocket.
Right.
Now you don't need to spend the money on all these extra wireless throttles for each train that you want to run.
Right.
Just upgrade it to Blunami and keep a couple of throttles, because there's going to be some old guys that want to run a throttle knob and so forth.
Right. Some of us, we're kind of tethered to the past, but we embrace the future, but albeit, gently.
But the good news is that that means you can do it however you want. So if you do have, the guy that comes over that just wants to feel a knob, then you certainly have those wireless throttles. But the need for it is non-existent because, like I said, you got wireless throttle here. Worst case, let's just say worst case scenario, you go to ebay.com, you buy a used phone for about $50.
Yeah.
You don't need cellular service. You just need to be able to tie into the App Store to download the app. Once you download the app, you're pretty much golden.
Yeah, you are. And recommend probably what did Dave say, maybe a 10 or so higher, whatever, on the iPhone. Don't get a super old phone, because the newer the phone, you want to update it to the most recent operating system too on it while you've got it plugged in, and then put your app on there, and then you have the most that's the only time you'll need to be able to plug into is when you want to update the app.
Well, if you have wireless, you can do into your wireless network and go online to the App Store, or you can do it through the computer or through the phone. There's different ways of doing it. So.
That's me thinking like the old style again. See,
you old guy, you.
Yeah, I am. I'm just thinking like old. All I need is I need a dial phone over here where you can just dial the numbers.
What's that?
Yeah, desk phone. It had the 3 U's. It used to be. I remember that's how bad it is. I remember when it was like 3 numbers to dial to call somebody.
Yeah,
that's bad. So.
Well, have you seen, not to get off topic too much, but have you seen those videos where people will give the new millennials, and is that one of those old rotary phones, say, here, make a call.
Yeah.
I'll give you $100 or something, and they have no clue.
I still have the phone books from my hometown, and where it's 3 numbers. You dial 617 for Home Lumber Company, West Frankfort, Illinois.
Wow.
It's 3 numbers. You got to dial it, though.
Yeah. I remember my grandmother's phone number was NE72550, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
But the prefix was the exchange. That was the part of Philadelphia that it was. So NE7 was the northeast quadrant of Philadelphia area. So that's how old her phone number goes back.
And the operator sitting there, operator, and then she plugged long distance, and she just moved it and plugged it in here so you can call. Now you don't need that. It's all right here.
It's all right here. And to those guys who need a throttle, I'm just going to show you this really quickly. First off, when you're looking at your screen, half of the screen is basically your throttle knob.
Right.
So presumably you have some semblance of an idea of how far you've moved your thumb.
Right.
But the other thing, and I'm going to show you this here on the screen for those of you watching on video, when you go to settings, go to general settings here, you can scroll down here and where did it go? There was a way to turn on the throttle to where it would buzz the phone, but I'm not seeing it now. So
it'll make like a click too, like when you, if you want it to, like when you hit the on the other side, on the left side, where the horn and stuff like that, you have that as well. I'm
sure I'm doing something wrong, but there's one of those things that will actually buzz the phone, so you want to check that out. I must be looking right at it or something.
Probably.
But
that's
anyway, so
the
idea is that when you're holding your throttle here, oops, I just turned on my cab light. But anyway, when you're holding your throttle and you move your throttle up and down, presumably you know about how much you've done. But if it buzzes the phone, you can feel it moving in your hand.
Right.
So I have to double check that, but for whatever reason, I'm not finding the haptic throttle. And since I'm not finding it, it very well could be something that was on the Blunami Classic that hasn't made it to this yet. But yeah, I'm not seeing it here. So
I noticed that he had a couple of updates in queue last night that I saw on the.
Yeah, it could be.
So maybe because I saw a couple, at least on the iPhone anyway.
But anyway, like I said, ideally, even if you want to, look away and you just want to kind of move your hand, like I said, presumably you kind of have a feel for how much you're moving the throttle. So hopefully that'll be enough. And then worst case, you can always keep swiping it down. It's not going to damage it if you keep swiping it down. I've got my brakes.
I like the way it works. It's very interactive. And the other thing about it is, when I originally got the Blunami, when you guys announced it in 2022 at St. Louis, I believe, I was thinking, okay, this is going to be an easier way to program it. That's what I thought right off the bat. Then when I got it, I thought, wow, the interoperability, but also how quickly your command goes straight from the phone, the app, to the engine, not through the command system from the throttle up through the wires to the wheels through the motor decoder. Not all that daisy chain stuff is all out. So basically, it cuts out the middleman of all that. And it's like here to here.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's like that.
So for those of you guys looking at battery, we've done a couple of videos showing this off because remember, all you have to do is apply DC power. You don't want to enable analog mode because that high voltage could be misinterpreted as a command.
And just take off on you.
And take off on you. So you don't want to do that. You want to leave analog mode disabled, but then connect to it from the app. So that's why you're not seeing this thing running away. So you want to do that. We've also done a video showing you a couple of installs, especially the large scale, where we've done the battery, a toggle switch that takes your battery power either to a charging port, and then when you're unplugged, it's off, or to the decoder, or slide switch, whatever your switch your preference is. All of that can go to show you how to do that through the app, or through the video, I mean.
Right.
And then we've done some other discussions showing you range, things like that. So when it comes to Blunami, there really is no downside at all.
Oh, not at all. It's just the versatility is off the chain.
Yep. I hate to keep making this sound like it's a commercial because we're just kind of having fun talking on a podcast, but it really is.
But facts are facts. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, you can't get. I can see why the guys with the larger scale are jumping over battery power too, because the idea of not having to clean their track or anything like that, they love it.
Yep.
Guys want to run the garden railroads. They can run in snow, whatever the heck they want. As long as they actually clear their own snow with their own snowplow.
Yep, there you go.
And you got it right there and there. I mean, here, this is total. This is it. The whole system's right here.
Yep.
You don't need any power into the track. This has got a battery in it.
That's it.
Yep.
And you see how instant that response is. So.
Yeah.
Well, that pretty much covers battery power. So you want to look at, when you're doing that, you want to look at voltage. Ideally, you want to be down on the voltages and higher up on the amps.
Right.
Lower voltages equals lower current draw from the motor. Plus, it also runs a little slower, so there's no reason to put a 25-volt battery in anything. Let it run slower.
And there's no flickering of the lights. The lights do not flicker when you go over switches and stuff like that. There's none of that. So it's very enticing, I can say. I mean, for me, like the perfect mousetrap kind of guy, this is like this thing sitting here, folks, with the lights on. There's no flickering on it. You know, going over. I can see it going over a switch, no problem at all. Back and forth, nice and smooth. Constant supply of power, not relying on mechanical connections from under the track.
Yep. But the good news is it's versatile, so if you don't have room for the battery packs and you don't need to go battery, you can always do track power.
Right.
You can add current keepers, stay alive module into the decoder to make sure that those interruptions aren't happening.
And that's what I'm using now. Is I'm using a 12-volt Radio Shack, another thing from the past. Radio Shack 12-volt regulated power supply.
Yep.
That's what I use to run mine DC.
Yep.
And my phone. That's it. That's my whole system.
Yep, exactly. And that's running through the track power on your HO stuff.
Yes.
Because the battery on here, I think, wouldn't fit in that.
No, I think the battery is probably the size of this engine.
Yep.
I mean, but for the meantime, this will get an 1100. It'll run with 12-volt DC, and with the phone, I still have eliminated all that other congestion. What do you want to call it? Wiring, etc.
Yep.
It's all simplified down to this and this.
Yep. Nice and easy, folks.
Yes.
Well, that covers pretty much everything I've got right now.
And we got the shows to talk about, maybe?
Oh, yeah. We were going to talk about, as you can see behind us, we've got our trade show booth set up. We're working on our Train Fest. That's coming up very quick. It'll be November 1st and 2nd in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yep.
At the Baird Center again this year. It's the third. I think we're still doing the third floor at the Baird Center. I actually really liked that facility last year, so it was a really good deal.
Did you like it better than the fairgrounds?
They both have their pluses and minuses. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I like the parking at the fairgrounds.
The parking at the fairgrounds certainly made it a whole lot easier. The Baird Center, there is parking lots there, but a lot of them charge you for parking.
Right.
But overall, I thought the facility itself was actually better. But I think the Baird Center is more new than that fairgrounds one. But we've been at fairgrounds since I started back in 2008. I remember that was my first show working for SoundTraxx, which was an interesting experience.
I just remember how bone-chilling cold it was.
It's bone-chilling cold. It can be bone-chilling
snowed
cold.
That night it snowed, and the next morning it was like 12 degrees, but it felt like 12 below. I mean, the wind was blowing, and all of us were standing in that parking lot out there, like, thinking like, we're nuts.
Meanwhile, we're inside nice and warm waiting for you people.
Yeah, we're out there like, guys, like at that time, the train show guys, like, we got to get in line, and we're all standing out there thinking like, why are we doing this? Why don't we just wait till it opens and walk through the door? Why are we standing there freezing?
Yep, you got to be the first one.
Yes. Yeah.
So real excited about that, and so anyway, with that, let's go ahead and close it out. We've got our SoundTraxx hat showing up here on the table, so make sure you get your SoundTraxx hat at our website at soundtraxx.com, or you can buy it. I think it's $25 or $20, something like that. It's a nice, cool, stylish hat.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yep.
Man, you can have one of these and be like all the cool kids.
That's right.
And now I messed up my hair.
And running battery power with Blunami, or 12-volt DC, or whatever, or DCC. Yep.
So, and that's the best part, and we've kind of glossed over it talking about battery power, but it's still a DCC decoder.
Yep.
So in theory, we could also put a 3-position switch or something like that, where it would take the battery power or track power, route it to the decoder. However you want to do it, it's up to you entirely. So
or like even this has the 1100, I can run it on my DCC system too.
Yep, exactly. So with that, we'll close this out. Because I think we're a little bit over the 35-minute mark, somewhere around there, because I forgot to mark and see where we started.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. A lot of cool stuff coming up, and SoundTraxx is making it work. And really, future's bright.
Yep.
It's looking great. So any other last comments?
We look forward to seeing you all at the Train Fest. We'll be happy to talk to you and come by and say hi and visit us at the booth.
Yep. Look forward to that. Be sure to come by, say hi, and see what we got to show you.
You never know.
With that, we'll go ahead and sign out. This has been the SoundTraxx Soundbites podcast. This is Train Talk from Milepost 141 in Durango, Colorado. We're going to go ahead and sign out. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye now.